Noche UFC is going down in Las Vegas this weekend, and I'm pumped to see who comes out on top. I've partnered up with DraftKings, and they got an offer that is perfect if you're looking to get closer to the action. Right now, all new customers that bet just $5 will instantly get $250 in bonus bets. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app. When you sign up, use my promo code SONNEN. DraftKings, the crown is yours. That's $250 in bonus bets instantly after betting just $5. Staying on the action and use your $250 in bonus bets on DraftKings same-game parlays for a shot at an even bigger payout. If sports betting is not yet available in your state, don't worry. You can still join in on all the fun at DraftKings with daily fantasy and have a shot at all the prizes. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app right now. New customers, use my promo code SONNEN, bet just $5 and get $250 in bonus bets instantly. That's promo code SONNEN only at DraftKings Sportsbook. Tom Aspinall says that many of the comments he has directed towards Jon Jones were designed to test Jon's ego. Now, okay, that is revealing too much for sure. We should not know that. Like, you would never sit down at the bar to visit with the girl and tell her why you came up, sat down, and decided to visit with the girl. Like, just for example. But when I look at it, it still is very curious to me. Like, there wouldn't be a doubt that Tom Aspinall has done some things in his career very well. He became the champion. He's done things that are unprecedented, such as be an interim champion who fought and competed and defended an interim belt. That has never happened before. Now, you take it whether that's a good thing or a bad thing, but let's go back to Jon. Aspinall saying that he's done things to test Jon as a way of pulling him out, as a way of luring him out, as the sincerity that Aspinall really would like that fight. Doesn't he have it? This is the part that is so curious for me. I realize we are going to fiercely adhere to the rules we make up as we go. I do understand that, but when you have a healthy undisputed champion and you have a healthy interim champion, you put them together. Now, generally that is the situation. And I get where there can be extenuating circumstance. For example, your undisputed champion is hurt, who, by the way, already has a contract and a promise with another opponent, in this case, Stipe Miocic, who's also been promised to you, the audience. So you do something with Tom, and then you've got to do something with him again, which in one case was to fight for an interim championship, and the again then was to defend said championship. But I'm just sharing for you, like, is this something that Tom needs to fight for? Does Tom need to go out and lure out Jon Jones and or create attention so that he be next for Jon? And Aspinall said something. He said, I will be ready. I will be fit. I'll be on weight. I will be ready to fight in November. And he's talking about filling in and taking on Jon should something happen to Stipe. I love those things. I would support those things. I oftentimes champion and beat the drum to those things. But wouldn't it be by default? I mean, if anything were to happen to Stipe, I do believe we, of course, have the option to just kick the can again. Do what we've already done once. It was supposed to be Jon versus Stipe. Jon gets hurt. We move it. It's still Jon versus Stipe. Now, in this scenario that I'm laying out for you hypothetically, Stipe gets hurt. Okay, great. We kick the can, but it's still Jon versus Stipe. I could see that. But is that realistically the move? And if you were to bring in somebody besides Stipe, if anything was to happen and Jon was to compete, is there going to be need for a negotiation and a mediator and to go pick a fight with Jon? Like, do you see somebody else that would go to for promotional reasons, for hype, because you're excited, because the fighters have gone back and forth? It does make you sit back and think to a degree. Like, as much as Tom has done, and as much as I do not agree that he should have told us why he was doing it, and he was trying to test Jon's ego, that it takes its allure away. That's still more than any other heavyweight has done towards Jon. There is no other heavyweight that has aligned themselves with Jon. There is no other heavyweight that has put themselves in Jon's crosshairs. I could extend that, as a matter of fact, to Stipe. Now, we wouldn't expect that from Stipe, and that would be very off-brand. And Stipe, for very unique reasons to himself, gets to do the fight game a different way. But for Aspinall to have to believe that he's got to go out to pick a fight with Jon Jones, I got to tell you, it does surprise me. In what aspect? Is it a situation where something happens, Jon Jones could quite possibly fight somebody else? Do we take the belt off of Aspinall? Do we wait for Aspinall to be hurt and or ill, who would that somebody be? I mean, if we were to go by the rankings, and this is off the top of my head, but I know that Ciryl Gane is right there. Ciryl Gane already has been in there with Jon. And what I would really like to see, and what I feel is a bit of a miss, is Stipe inserting himself with Aspinall. And I remember what Dana White said. It was very polite. But Dana was asked last year in November, headed into Madison Square Garden, that was supposed to be Jon versus Stipe. When Jon pulled out, that fight as a whole got scratched. And if you guys will recall, we had a backup fighter. Sergey Pavlich was the backup fighter for that fight. So we didn't need a discussion. We didn't need to talk about or vote for who we thought should go in. We already know it's going to be Pavlich. But in that moment is when we found out, no, that's reserved for the champion alone. It's not reserved for the championship, meaning Stipe, step aside. Sergey, you're staying on the card, bring in Aspinall, and a belt goes up. So, it's very peculiar to me. There's nothing you can count on. There's nothing you can hang your hat on. I fully understand that these things can change on the fly. I understand you can't have an interim champion and have an undisputed champion. Just per the definition of interim, if you just simply go and look it up, and we're going to turn to the dictionary. The moment the bell rings for Jon Jones' return, Tom Aspinall is no longer the interim champion, but nobody's backed me up on that. I know that many of you have agreed, but that's never been confirmed. Tom has never said he understands it that way. Jon has never said he understands that way. And then if you have the event where Jon Jones and Stipe fight, and they both are going to retire, so regardless of outcome, we now have a vacated heavyweight championship. There is a built-in belief that we don't, that then Tom's championship of interim gets elevated to undisputed, but that is not how the rule works. The moment the bell rings for Jon's return, there is no longer an interim champion. You would have nothing to elevate. It's a very fascinating spot. I mean, it would seem to me by any mathematical deduction, Jon Jones, in his next two fights, fights Stipe, fights Tom. Win or lose against Stipe, Stipe is going to retire. Win or lose against Stipe, it would then draw him in to Aspinall. It would seem, you of course have the wild card of retirement, but it would seem, with no effort, with nothing done, that Aspinall and Jon, you can either quit, you can either leave the sport, or Aspinall and Jon are going to see each other. And Aspinall apparently does not fully agree with that. I don't mind this theory. I don't mind staying after something. I don't mind the idea that nothing is done until it's done. I don't mind the idea of building something and prodding and poking as a way of trying to get your way. I'm just looking at it and saying, wait, what is it that I've got off here? What scenario do you believe that Ciryl Gane is going to skip the line? For example, what scenario do you believe that some heavyweight that's yet to be identified is going to come in and take that spot? How would you lay it out? How would you play it out? Even hypothetically speaking, where both guys compete, and I'm talking about Jon and I'm talking about Aspinall, but they don't do it against each other. And now you start to see why it's important that we have some uniformity, that we have some level of clarity. Are we going to have a healthy undisputed champion and an interim champion? Are we going to take the belt off him the moment the belt rings, which is what the actual definition would be? Or does he keep it and maintain it just in case and we get down the road and we see what happens then? Is there any other heavyweight that is pining and positioning themselves to get in front of Tom? While Tom is wanting to be the loudest voice in the room going after Jon, isn't he the only voice? I don't know of another heavyweight, including the one that's got the contract to fight Jon Stipe. I don't know of any heavyweight that has been calling out Jon Jones. Have I missed something? Or do you guys see it the same way?